That's not going to happen.
Congratulations. Okay, the second order is the town council-elect. Please stand. Now, you saw how it was just done. Please raise your right hand. State your name. I do solemnly swear that I will be true and faithful unto the state, support the laws and constitution thereof, support the laws and constitution of the United States, and support the Narragansett Town Charter and ordinances, and that I will truly execute the office of town council for the term which I have been elected, or until another be engaged in my place, or until I am legally discharged therefrom, so help me God. Okay, you're sworn in. Our town council. Please take a seat at the table. The third order of business is to elect a council president. May I have a nomination and a second for president?
I have a nomination. I'd like to nominate Matthew Mannix for president of the town council.
I would like to second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Matt Mannix, you are now the town council president.
Thank you, guys.
Matt, now you continue on for the vice president.
All right, I would like to nominate Susan Cicilline Bonanno for the president pro tem position.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. First, I just wanted, before we're going to take about a 10-minute break, which is a typical tradition for pictures, but I just wanted to thank everybody in the town and to my colleagues for the trust you've placed in me and in our council. It's truly a new day here in Narragansett. I'm hopeful we can move away from the past old 3-2 divisions on these councils. I think it's time for a true breath of fresh air. Many know that I've championed over time the nonpartisan election process here in Narragansett. I'm glad to lead a council with 5 members with very distinct personalities and philosophies, and am confident that our council's focus will be on bettering the town of Narragansett and making all decisions with that goal in mind. It's a tradition that the top 2 vote-getters are elected to the 2 leadership roles. This tradition respects the voters' wishes, and we've strengthened that tradition here tonight. Finally, in the spirit of openness, I'm committed to being accessible to the voters of the town. I'll do my best to run our meetings as fairly and as efficiently as possible. We'll try to get answers to everyone's questions and incorporate the diverse views of our residents in our decision-making. So, again, thank you. I'm looking forward to the next 2 years. And now, Ann, we'll take a 10-minute break for people to take pictures and to everyone see their families.
If your family's here.
to the roller skating rink
I
and
heard
have
that too.
access. 3 different people told me that. And before they put a market across from Stop and Shop, they have to put one in the pier. I don't care what the town has to do, but there are too many seniors that don't have a place to go to
Yeah, but
get
I don't know
milk.
how true that is. I heard that too, but we
Well, I've
haven't.
heard it from a few people. They want days. Absolutely. So I don't want any politics
Be careful
going
that way.
on. Yes.
Wait, oh, you got a name? You gonna get a nameplate?
I don't know. Do I have one?
You have an old one over here? They're gonna get your plates. They're gonna get your.
It's all right. I had one when I was on school committee. They threw it out.
Before we move forward, I just wanted to, on behalf of the town council and Ann Irons, our town clerk, especially thank Missy Durkin, Board of Canvassers clerk, the Board of Canvassers members Richard Leonard, Richard Bourbonnais, and Jerry Reynolds, members of Metatuxet Yacht Club, Father Tyone from St. Veronica's and St. Thomas More, Father Kayada from St. Mary's Star of the Sea, school department and departments of Parks and Recreation, Police and Public Works, and the 62 poll workers across the town who all participated in making the November 4th election a smooth and successful election in our community. So thank you again on behalf of Ann to all those people. And then we will go to our regular agenda. Our next item of business is a motion to appoint the following town officials: the judge of the probate court, judge of municipal court, magistrate clerk municipal court, town solicitor and assistant town solicitors, and our town sergeant. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to table all of those appointments until the November 24th meeting for review so that the new council members can be a part of that as well.
I'd like to second that motion.
All right, discussion.
Is there a meeting on November 24th?
There's not a meeting, so what would you want to have, like a review that night, maybe? So November 24th, there's no meeting. December 1st is our next meeting.
Right.
So
So what
should
is-
we schedule, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say, since December's upon us now, does the council maybe want to wait till the beginning of January, the new year? It's only like 6 weeks away. Everybody maintains their position until then anyway, so it gives you some time for things to marinate, and you can make your minds up what you want to do. It's whatever you want to do, I'll go along with it.
That sounds fine.
Right.
You're gonna hit that button.
Button. Except for the buttons, I know most of the people. I don't have a problem now, and I don't have a problem waiting. So if you all want to wait, I don't have a problem with that. What the heck? I have a problem with the iPad?
He's just talking.
All right, so the concept is if we want to have some kind of reviews of all the officials so that we're not, that's kind of what we're thinking about. So we would have to schedule those review dates at some point, and those reviews of all those individuals we'd have to do. So do you want to look at dates? Is that what, before December, before January 1st, perhaps?
Whatever your schedule. I
yeah.
wasn't thinking of a review date. I was thinking of just some time to think about the various positions, where you want to go, perhaps go to the courts and watch how they're working, formulate some thoughts, some opinions before coming. It's just, I've been out of the loop for 2 years, and I know some others haven't been here, so it's just a good idea not to rush into this thing. Let it, like I said, let it marinate for a little bit, and it's not a rush because, yeah, it's on.
Go ahead.
So is that too far away, though? I mean, I definitely think that it would be good to have some review time, but is that too far away? I'm just sort of deferring to the manager. Does that seem, we could keep things status quo and just kind of, it seems,
Which date is too far away?
January?
We're talking possibly the first meeting in January to finalize everything.
Would the officials serve until then?
Of
Yeah,
course,
Yeah.
yeah,
Then it won't be too far away.
Okay.
everything stays the same.
Yes.
Okay, so is that a motion?
and then you were scheduling a review date, so do we still want to have a review at some point? Pick a date in December
Yeah, I
for
mean, I
that?
think that would be
Maybe push that to
important.
December 8th or something like that?
That would give the council the opportunity to go through each of the appointments.
Okay, so let's put, go ahead.
Excuse me, December 8th, the ad hoc committee on URI student committee or problems is meeting in this room, holding a town meeting for the whole town.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so then we should what the motion is. What is the motion, Ann? What was the motion?
Continue until a date certain has been banted around here. I may suggestion of the first meeting. The motion on the floor is continue this motion till the first meeting in January. Others may plug in their own dates, what they want.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we have a motion to appoint town council members to serve on the following committees. So many of the council members have expressed their desires to be on certain committees. We, as council members, have a duty to serve on these committees that serve as advisory to the town council. So I'm going to go through what we have, and then I'll be looking for a motion, and obviously we can amend it if there's any questions. But at this time, we have Economic Development Committee, 2 slots, Susan Cicilline-Bonanno and Chris Wilkins. Capital Reserves Committee, 2 slots, Susan Cicilline-Bonanno, Patrick Murray. Finance Committee, Patrick Murray with Ray Rinaldi as the alternate. Galilee Advisory Committee, Matt Mannix. Galilee Lease Advisory Committee, Matt Mannix. Knights of the Rockingham Arch, Matt Mannix. Land Conservancy Trust, Matt Mannix and Chris Wilkins, or Susan? Okay, all right. Chris Wilkins. Personnel Appeals Board, Patrick Murray. Recreation Advisory Board, Ray Rinaldi with Patrick Murray as the alternate. Liaison with the School Committee, Susan Cicilline-Bonanno and Ray Rinaldi. Sewer Policy Committee, Patrick Murray with Susan Cicilline-Bonanno. Towers Committee, Matt Mannix and Chris Wilkins. Washington County Regional Forum, Chris Wilkins. Narragansett Affordable Housing Trust, based on information we have that there's not money available, we're going to leave that open right now unless somebody is interested tonight, has changed their mind. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
There's some that you mentioned that didn't have alternates. We're just going to work that out between
Well,
us.
because basically because you both expressed an interest in those 2 committees, so.
No, I'm saying there are some that you had mentioned that there were no alternates mentioned.
Yeah, because the
there's
alternate's
an-
kind of like a fiction, like you're the backup in,
Understood,
yeah.
understood.
So, is there one that we didn't because Recreation and Finance, so were you're the backup for one of those?
No, I understood.
Okay, and you're the backup for Recreation, I think I said that. Correct. Okay.
So just to clarify too, Chris, you're going to do the land trust and I'm going to do the sewers. Is that fair enough?
That's fine with me. Thank you.
Okay.
Is that what you both
Yeah,
have thought?
that's what we,
Okay.
I've done sewers.
I haven't, I've done land trust.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Let's vote. All in favor? Sorry, it's my first time doing
Aye.
it.
You
Aye.
do.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next, we have our open forum. This is our public comment section of the meeting, so any members of the public who wish to address the council, we'd be glad to hear you at this time. Mr. Vangermesh.
Just the name and their address.
And please state your name and address for the record. I know you're familiar with the drill.
It's not working.
No, that's not.
It's on. Yeah, my name is Richard Van Gersh, and this time I'll pick the 55 Osceola address. Just want to remind you what the Finance Committee has as an ultimate goal, that the total annual required contribution of both pensions and other post-employment benefits total $5 million, which we believe is sustainable. We came a long way in the last 2 years. And I think we even have a more useful team now to look at all employees and all retirees with the goal of making this a sustainable, secure situation. And also, from a taxpayer's point of view, it will allow us to be more financially flexible and to do things like focusing on the library. So I'm hoping with my other members of the Finance Committee that our ultimate goal at the end of this particular term is to be there or almost there. But this is a monetary goal. It can be measured, and hence we hope that it will be $5 million at the end of your term.
Thank you. Mr. Alba.
Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the new members of the town council, and I'm sure you're going to do a better job than the last town councils. It's more divided.
Ouch.
Anyway, I got a picture here to submit, a pier which would definitely extend our tourist season more than the summertime. It's a pier that one of the other town presidents, when he was elected, he came here. He says, "I wonder where the pier is." There was no pier. So this here would be beautiful, and the Chamber of Commerce, maybe they can find money to pay for this, because it would help them too if you can extend the tourist season more than just 2 months. I would like to submit this here for your record, and hopefully you'll do something with it. Thank you.
And do you want to take that? Thank you, Mr. Alba. And also, Mr. Alba did mention the former council. Do want to mention thanks to the 3 former council members for their service to the town who served prior on the council last term. Mr. Wojciechowski.
Welcome aboard to the new ones. I'm sorry I'm late. I had to throw a tenant out, a registered nurse. I had to get a registered nurse thrown out in the street with the sheriff.
Make too much
just telling
noise.
you that it's not only students. And actually, with respect to students, I get this incidents and nuisance house listing, week number 45. I think this relates to student problems. And for that week, we have two violations. You know, Again, I say we don't have a student problem if we only have 2 issues. And according to the paper, we have 6,000 students in town. I'm not sure, but the paper said that. If we've got 6,000 students, or 4,000 students, whatever we have for students, and we have 2 violations in 1 week, I can't believe we call that a student problem, okay? And that brings me to the other issue, is the waste that we spend money and time on rental registration. Obviously, it brings back the ad hoc committee issue. Ad hoc committee we had years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it was. This ad hoc committee, the result of the ad hoc committee was rental registration. That's 10 years ago now. 10 years ago we had that. So we had 10 years of their solution. Their solution was rental registration, the registration of our townspeople. I think there's over 400 Narragansett landlords, I think, 380-something, whatever. So we're registering these landlords for no reason, because obviously we still have the same problem. So that solution was never appropriate at that time. After 10 years, if it doesn't work, I think we need to throw it out. No need to have that. Doesn't work. You know, in the private industry, when something fails, we stop it. We don't continue. And I went to a couple of ad hoc meetings now, and I get a little nervous because they're kind of treading down the same road with this anti-landlord issue. The issue is disturbing the peace and drunk and disorderly. That's the issue, not students, not landlords. Most landlords are not even in town. They're not the problem, okay? Disturbing the peace, drunk and disorderly. Obviously, if we're making headway, the chief is doing a fantastic job if we only have 2 violations here. And if we need to find a problem house, if there's a house there's a problem, an issue with a house, that's what we have vision appraisal for. That's our list. Our list, vision appraisal. It's right on the computer. Why are we spending money on a separate list? And now why are we hiring another police officer that could cost us $3 million in pension things, according to the finance guys? That new hire could cost us $3 million for two parties. Obviously, it's a mistake. It's a mistake. Now, I'll come up with solutions. Since I get all the bad news now, I have a potential solution how we could solve the problem, maybe. If we have some persons who are disturbing the peace or drunk or disorderly, along with the fine, maybe what we need to do is give them a no-contact order for anybody in that house, the landlord or property manager. In other words, they can no longer go back to that house. If they're causing trouble, if there's a trouble with that house, that person who's charged can't go back to that house. We don't need a victim, can't go back. Give them a no-contact order. They're disturbing the peace, they're messing up. So that's the solution, the police. Or, if that doesn't work, maybe we need to give them a no trespassing order. If the fact that they're there causes trouble in our community, then we need to have a no, I've asked for that. I've had a fellow that I thought was stealing something, doing something wrong. Go to the police and get a no trespassing order. Now the guy's gone. No eviction, no problem, and he's gone right away. It's not like 30 days down the line. So those are the steps. Those are just 2 steps I have to think about. And I'm sure all the smart people in town think a lot more. But the big thing is, number 1, we cannot label them student problem. It's drunk and disorderly, disturbing the peace. It's not student problem.
All right, thank you, Stan. And we gave you a little extra time, you saw that.
I know.
And you got the ad hoc committee, too, so you can share the thoughts there as well. And that's right around the
I was wondering
corner.
how long you let me.
I know, yeah. See how nice that was?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stan.
Anyone else? Mr. Shields.
Robert Shields. I live in Earl's Court. Congratulations to all of you. I'd like this council to look closely at the comprehensive plan, which is currently in draft form. I think that there are some problems with it that various people have mentioned in the last 2 months. And I think that it deserves your attention, your careful attention. I would single out 2 matters that need attention by you in the comprehensive plan. One is the problem on Boston Neck Road. That's quickly becoming the Bald Hill Road of Narragansett. It's becoming overdeveloped, in my opinion. And I think that more should be dealt with on that road than the comprehensive plan includes now in its draft form. The second matter is, I think more attention needs to be devoted to a facility for the town library. That this is an issue that is going to be occurring, maybe not in the next 6 months, but within the next year here in town. and it needs to be discussed adequately in the town master plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and there's several meetings about the comp plan coming up, and honestly, some of them weren't that well attended, so it'd be good to see some more people coming out to those meetings. Sue?
Good evening. My name is Sue Bush. I live at 65 Robinson Street. And congratulations to all of you on a successful election. I look forward to a hopefully really positive couple of years. I'd like to speak about the proposed tattoo business on Boone Street briefly. I know this isn't the optimal format for this, but I've been unable to attend the prior zoning and planning board meetings. Personally, I don't have anything against a tattoo business in general, but I do think there are other types of businesses that might be more suitable for Boone Street. Also, I presume there are real cogent reasons that a tattoo business was not on the list of approved businesses for the town. Those reasons, I would guess, go beyond not being with the times. When it comes to approving and permitting businesses in Narragansett, I've seen some of these meetings. I guess I'd call it a slippery slope syndrome, where a business is granted a special use permit or whatever exemption they need to go into business, and then they come back and ask for A, B, and C, which specifically go against those provisions. Another phenomenon I think I would call loosey-goosey syndrome is when we fail to foresee potential problems up front, so we don't consider what kinds of stipulations to put in those special use permits or other exemptions. So I'd like to strongly suggest that the stipulations that the applicant herself mentioned in a newspaper article that I read be adhered to, and perhaps there are others that need to be considered too. These stipulations included no walk-in business by appointment only, no signs outside of the business, no tattoos of dragons and demons or massive guns on a store sign or in a shop window. That's what the article said. And no smoking or alcohol allowed on the site. She would keep her state licensure current, and she would remain the sole operator, not hiring other tattoo artists. Like I said, in my mind, there might be other businesses that are more suitable for Boone Street, but if this business is allowed to become a business on Boone Street, I do wish her well. I hope she succeeds, but I also hope that these stipulations would be adhered to. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. When is the meeting on that decision meeting? To run it? The 20th? Thank you. Karen.
Karen Chapcho at 63 Wanda Street. I've been coming to town council meetings since I moved into town in 1987. And one thing I would really hope for this council is you work together and it not be a political tug of war, and decisions are based on evidence, research, and what is best for the community, not based on relationships, who wants this and who's voting for that. And I think this would really make it a stronger community. And one thing personally I've observed is that a lot of the discussions over the years center on schools, and more recently center on the pensions. And I've heard very, very little support for the senior community. And as I get older, I'm more and more a senior. I'm 68. And I'm very concerned about life for seniors in the community, particularly seniors that don't have a family or financial resources to draw upon on many crises, which can include even getting to the market. And I would urge you to focus on some of the because we do have a number of seniors. I'd like to know more about the statistics about seniors in the community. But every senior is not fortunate enough to have family support, transportation to doctor's appointments, the market, housing repairs, housing. And you often get the feeling that if you're not rich enough financially, you can't stay here. And it's a really sad thing when you talk about society and how they appreciate their seniors. Another thing I would like to see more of is advertising the meetings in the paper. I notice that South Kingston puts their meetings, their town council meetings in the paper. You can't assume everyone has the internet and on Friday will rush to the internet to see what's going to be on the meeting Monday night. I think you'd get a lot more community participation if it was listed in the paper. The agenda would include a lot more people that don't have access or don't read the internet. They might be interested in coming. Of course, I'm a library supporter, and I do believe in the library, and I think it's become more of a community center because it serves the community in so many ways. I applaud you for going into public service. I know it takes a lot of time. And one thing I want you to all remember is we all bleed red. Doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, a liberal, or an independent, or a conservative. And I hope that you will listen to the needs of the community members. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve.
Steve Ferrandy, 44 Sylvan Road. Thank you, council members. Congratulations on your latest win. We have several new faces, some older faces, and congratulations, Chris, for wanting to come back on the council again. What I'd like to ask is just that the council, during the campaign, the quality of life issues were very important. So I would like to ask that you keep your commitment to the voters in this particular area. This is a very important issue for the town. I mean, it's really why everybody wants to stay here. So I would ask that you keep your commitment. And the previous council did make some changes, which seem to be working, but you know, there's always more room to move on this issue. So good luck and congratulations, and please keep the quality of life issues on the top of your agenda. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Sir.
Hi, I'm Tyler Pavlik, 15 Windward Circle. I'm a member of URI Student Senate. I'm here every meeting. All of you should be getting emails, or maybe a few of you have, from various members of URI Student Senate. Right now, our biggest issue, or one of the things that we're really working on, is reaching out to members of the town so we can improve our relationship with the town of Narragansett, because due to the incidents last year, that's not what we as URI students want to be known for and represent. So before the week's end, you should be getting emails from us, just reaching out, getting our contact info, stuff like that. And I just ask that you please don't ignore it or push it aside. Just shoot us an email back going thank you, stuff like that, because right now we really want to improve our relationship with the town. It starts with you 5 members here. So I just ask that you just kind of keep open contact with us so we can improve our relationship and work for a brighter future together. So thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a contact as well? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come up after.
Okay, that'd be great.
One thing I wanted to mention, on October 30th, I saw Jill Lawler was here, and she and Patty Sylvia, the Kinney Bungalow event, which kicked off Restaurant Week for the Chamber of Commerce and the town, and the Land Trust really put a lot of effort. Again, I wanted Patty Sylvia and Jill Lawler were the key people organizing. It was an excellent event, very well attended, I think around 200 people, and I think all of you were there, right? So anyway, but just wanted to mention that event and that it was a success. Finally, we have minutes from the November 3rd meeting, and I was not able to attend that November 3rd meeting on election eve, so we're going to have a motion to accept the minutes because there's no members that can approve it. So it'll be a motion to accept. Only Susan could technically be the one to approve them since she was the only one in attendance. So is there a motion to just simply accept the November 3rd
I believe
meeting
we all
minutes?
received the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I really believe we all received the minutes.
But we can't, if we weren't in attendance, we're voting on something that,
So
if you
we'll
were-
accept them, right?
so we're moving to accept them. All right, so is there a second to that? Who seconded that?
I
All
think
right,
Mark wanted to...
discussion.
Mark, did you want to say something?
You were right, Matt. You can't approve them because you weren't part of that body that actually acted on them, but you can receive them and place, or accept them and place them on file, which is the only logical thing you can do at this moment, at this time.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that clear, right? Yeah, we
That's
received
clear.
them in the packet, but if you're not at the meeting, so if you're
Understood.
absent, yeah.
Yeah.
So I made the motion, I think Chris seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. All right, our next item is our consent agenda. As people who come to the meetings are familiar, these are items that are relatively routine. However, if a member of the council would like to pull a consent agenda item to discuss in further detail, then they can do so at this time. Any items? Steve, I'd like if you could just do a little bit on number 4 for us to kind of publicize that event. So I'm going to pull number 4 before you come up. So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda except for item 4.
So
I'll
moved.
move that
A second.
second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, now a motion for number 4, which is a motion to award the contract for the Festival of Lights Holiday Fireworks Display to Atlas Pyrovision Productions Incorporated in the amount of $3,500 and to authorize the town manager to sign the contract after review by the town solicitor. Do I have a
I'll
motion?
move that motion.
Second.
Discussion. Steve, if you could just tell us when the date is so everyone at home can hear, because it's a great event and I want people to be able to know when it is and the details.
Sure. Good evening and congratulations. Welcome aboard. December 7th is our Festival of Lights, and that is a day-long celebration that we have historically in town, beginning at 10 a.m. at the Towers. We have our gift shop open. Then at 11:30 at the Community Center, we have arts, crafts, and pizza hosted by the Narragansett cheerleaders. From 1 to 7 at the Pier Marketplace, we have activities including storytelling, horse-drawn wagon rides, meet and greet Santa. From 1 to 3 at the Towers, we have musical performances by the Narragansett High School and Pier students. From 1:30 to 2:40, 2:45 the library, we have our Christmas Carol, and you should call them because space is limited. From 3 to 4:45 at the Towers, we have our Pictures with Santa. That's, again, very, very popular. We also have a singer and story writer at the Towers, so there's a lot of events at the Towers all afternoon. 3:15 to 4:45, we have trolley rides by the South County Trolley. And then from 4 to 5 at the gazebo, we have the Narragansett High School and Middle School students with a chorus. And then at 5 p.m., we have our gazebo tree lighting and fireworks display. So it's all day long. It's a great event, and if you've been there, we just have a lot of fun. So I really do I encourage everyone to turn out. Usually the weather's been really good, so we're hoping to have a really good event this particular day.
Thank you, Steve. In terms of all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion approved 5-0. Old business, item number 8. We have a motion to approve a request from Gilbane Development Company on behalf of GP Pier Retail LLC for the approval of plans to renovate the exterior of Building D in the Pier Market, which would include a new roof with cupola, siding, and windows, and a motion to receive and place on file the recommendation from the Planning Board.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Well, this issue here, I think we can table this till we take another look at it. For a continuance or whatever the proper.
You want to move to continue it?
Yes.
Is there a second? Okay. Is there a second to that?
Can we talk about it first? Do you want to give a little background on it? Or-
Well, we could discuss it either way, though. Do you want to second that, Chris? That motion to continue?
Well, I'm just thinking about, we got Mr. Gagliotti here, if he wants to come up and say a few words, what he plans to do. I think there's a certain sense of frustration here amongst certain council members with the lack of progress we made in the pier marketplace area with the revitalization. And I don't think, I don't know if there's a connectability of the two, the agenda item and that right now. I see this strictly as new skin on the building. New roof, new siding, new windows, so it's, I understand what you're talking about, and I'd like to sit down with Gilbane Corporation, Gilbane Development, and really get into a comprehensive plan about what the plans are for the revitalization. But I don't know if this motion is really attached to it. I know what you mean, Patrick, and I understand that. I see this as strictly,
Well, I'll second the motion to continue. We're still discussing everything. So, motion to continue seconded. What's the discussion? Ann, you said there's some people here to talk. Okay. Please come forward.
So just for my edification, are there two motions that just came out?
Well, he moved to continue it, and so I seconded that
Continue
motion.
it to when?
He didn't specify a date.
Okay.
So we're just
All right.
discussing, now we can
That's fine.
discuss. Yeah. So
All right.
we do have two motions out there.
Good evening, Bob Gagliotti, Gilbane Development Company, on behalf of GP Pier Retail. The request before you is renovations to Building D. It's the last of the 3 interior buildings that we were to have renovated. So the fit and finish for Building D is almost identical to the other 2 buildings that we renovated. And I think, as Mr. Wilkins said, there's no change in footprint. There isn't any change to the use of the building. Architecturally, we've put shed dormers on one side and a hip roof dormer on another side to give it a little more interest. Those buildings certainly, with the architecture we had back in the 1970s, left a lot to be desired. And if you've been by this building in particular, this one is particularly derelict. And yeah, we very much would like to do these renovations and move them forward, so I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, I have a question. Do you have a tenant lined up for that building?
We don't. As a matter of fact, most folks that look at that building can't get by the outside of the building.
Right, correct. Your office is there now, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know how much you're going to charge per square foot on that commercial lease?
What the asking rate is for the...
Correct.
It's approximately $13 a foot.
$13 per square foot, okay. Right. The market building, the Pier Market. What building letter is that? Is that A by any
Building
chance?
E.
E, number E, okay. Is there any plans for that one?
Renovation plans?
Occupation.
Leasing, is it currently marketed? I didn't see it lately.
Yes, we are still
Is
marketing
it still marketing right now? And what are you asking per square foot on that building?
It really depends upon the use. It's a large building.
Correct.
A larger use, would be a different rate than
Correct.
smaller users.
Correct.
It varies.
Correct. Okay. I think we just sit on this. What's your timetable on completion for this project?
Oh, the one that we've got before you?
Correct. Right.
It is probably, we've got 8 to 10 weeks for ordering windows and doors. I would say it could be about a 3-month duration for the work itself.
Right, okay. So you're in the thick of winter now, so, I mean, another couple weeks ain't gonna kill you, right?
It will not.
Okay, all right. So if we can continue this to the next meeting, I'd be satisfied.
Is there any further discussion or questions for?
If you want to continue for a couple of weeks while you mull it about, I sort of apologize, because if I look at the date of your request is August 28th. So it's been almost 3 months since you requested to come before the council for permission to do this work. And here we are like a quarter of a year later, and you guys still haven't gotten a shovel in the ground.
I have to agree with Chris. And not that I disagree
no
that
problem.
we should be looking at the center of town and
Sure.
making it as nice as possible, but
Sure.
that's an awfully long time. If there are issues with the roof, if there are issues with the windows,
Right.
and something happens during the winter, I mean, I don't know, it just doesn't seem fair to these people to delay it anymore. It just,
Right, well, it's also not fair to the people in the pier not being able to buy a loaf of bread, so.
understood, but I don't
mean,
think this is.
I know if we can't,
I'm sorry, Pat.
I know we can't tie the two buildings together.
Yep.
But I would like to get a sense of what's going on down there.
And I think we all would. I think
And
that's what we
and I'd
need
like
to,
meet-
we need to.
Meet
and-
with Bob. I'd like to meet up with you, Bob, this week, if that's possible.
Sure, I'd be
Would that
happy to
be-
talk to you.
Okay.
It's just that if I may, I remember in the old days when things were moving along a little bit more smoothly, we used to get periodic updates. And Jimmy Durkin's back there, he's probably laughing because he remembers those times too. It doesn't seem that anybody's been meeting with the council for a number of years, and things have obviously come to a standstill. And like I've said previously to you, there's a huge sense of frustration in the community, is when is that place gonna sort of come alive again? When is it gonna be filled with tenants and be a vital town center again? So maybe we could work with the town manager, and we could arrange some kind of a meeting with the council, a work session very soon to start getting updates and start getting some progress reports and get back on track again. As far as I'm concerned with this measure before us tonight, it's just a remodel job on the outside, just to weather tight it and make it look nice. Although I would appreciate some different colors and different pictures from the other ones. They don't all have to look the same.
Well, I'm colorblind, so don't look to me. I'll look to the architect for the colors.
Tell them to give me a call, okay?
So I agree with Chris. I mean, this was August, we've heard about it, so I'd like to approve this tonight, but I think the idea of getting together with Gilbane is something that we're interested in, so if we could just maybe approve this with the caveat that we get together with Mr. Gilbane on future projects and what's happening in the pier, I think that would be great.
You okay with that, Patrick?
So
Well,
there's
let's
an
vote- let's
initial,
vote
right,
on
there was
it.
an initial motion, which was made by Susan, seconded by Ray, to actually approve the agenda item. So is there any further discussion on that?
No.
Mr. Alba?
First of all, I go back a few years. And doing that, I remember when Gilbane was going to have that, like, Mystic Village. Well, he wasn't held, stone blank on that. So whatever we do with Gilbane, I would make sure that they cannot change their minds and do what they want to do. We want to have something that, an eye clash, so that we'll know what's going on. As I go back to the time when there's supposed to be like Mystic Village there, and in no way is there a comparison to that at all. They just did not keep their word. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All
Nay.
opposed? Nay. All right, there's a second motion. Motion passes 3-2. There is a second motion to continue this to another date. All in favor? Aye. That was the continue.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, nay.
And all opposed to that motion?
Opposed.
Yeah.
Nay.
Yeah, okay. Motion fails 2-3. Thank you. All right, new business. A motion to approve the proposal from Frisella, Balch and Associates to provide professional survey services required for certain roads in the amount of $11,371.25.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Mike?
Good evening. These are the survey plans that we're looking for to do in Phase 2 of the pavement management program.
Phase 2 or 1?
Phase 2. As part of the $4.1 million that the previous council approved. So right now, we're finishing up the Phase 1B roads, and this is for the prelim work for Phase 2.
But the 4-1 straddles the two phases?
Exactly.
Okay, that was my confusion, because there's 4 motions in a row here that are related to the road
These are
bond,
all-
so.
This is all within the 4.1 million that you already approved last year that we're currently working under.
Okay, so does everyone on the council understand that? We've had Phase 1B, Phase 2, this 4.1 million straddles the two, so the, and if that relates to all 4 of these motions?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Further discussion or questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Mike, if you don't mind staying up there in case there's questions. All right. A motion, number 10, a motion to approve the proposal from Applied Biosystems Incorporated to provide wetland delineation, soil evaluation, and associated reports required for certain roads for an estimated fee of $14,800.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Motion approved 5-0. Item number 11, a motion to approve the proposal from Dowdell Engineering Incorporated to provide professional survey services required for certain roads in the amount of $19,500. Do I have a
Move that
motion?
motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Just, it sort of dovetails in with the next one on number 12.
Yep.
Dowdell gets about $20,000 for that 13,000 feet.
Yep.
And then the next one is DePreet gets about $44,000 for about the same amount. What's the difference between that? I mean, besides
The roads
23
that
grand.
DePreet's doing are a much larger scope of work.
Okay.
So it's all based on the scope of work and the size of the roads and the amount of work that needs to be done. Dowdell and Felch are just smaller companies, and that's what they can provide with their overhead, and DePreet's a much larger company that can facilitate the needs on the last
I hear you.
portion.
Got it, thank you.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Number 12, a motion to approve the proposal from DePreet Engineering to provide professional survey services required for certain roads in the amount of $43,625.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Like to. Good second.
I was just interested in, was there more than one quote on these? I mean,
I
one
saw,
quote?
I saw at least 2.
There's 2
And
quotes
I saw at least 2 in my packet.
on this one for 43. I'm trying to find it, I can't. That's what my, I guess.
No, they're all,
You know, I just,
it was non-bid.
nobody else bid? Is that what it?
It was non-bid contract.
This is a non-bid contract for 43,000?
Pam, can you clarify, please?
I believe this was a sole source. Am I correct? Jeff? That's what I have written down, that it was a sole source. That means that that's the only place we can get this.
This kind of stuff done?
Yes.
There's not a second one in town?
Exempt from competitive bidding process.
It falls under both the state procurement and the town's procurement for professional services. Professional services, whether it be engineering, architecture, there's a number of things that fall into that category, do not have to be bid. They can be negotiated based on the firm's qualifications and what we term the local knowledge. And if you remember back to the first phase of the pavement management program too, we also use several local survey and engineering companies that have control in town. They have points from doing surveys all over town. They're familiar with working in town. They're familiar with the research here. So for phase 2, we follow the same model that we did for phase 1. We negotiated with 4 different firms, 3 for survey and 1 for wetlands. And then that process was vetted out by the Beta Group. The Beta Group has been retained by the town to be the overall consultant for the pavement management program. So Beta basically went through, as we did, went through all of these proposals to make sure that they are reflective of what the industry standards are in terms of pricing. So to answer Stan's questions, it was not a bid process, but it was a professional services procurement process where bidding is not required.
Jeff, was that wasn't all of the motions that we just made, was it? That was just that particular motion.
Just Dupree.
No, that was for all of them.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Number 13, a motion to approve the annual service contract for the interoperable radio communication system from Motorola Incorporated in the amount of $37,596 for fiscal year 2014-15, and to authorize the town manager to sign the contract after review by our town solicitor. Do I have a motion?
I'll move that motion.
Second.
Discussion.
This is a sole source. This is the one that's sole source. This is for all our radios, dispatch, and site, public dispatch, all of the radio operations in town. It's a state bid. It's the only provider for the state.
And how long have they been doing this for us?
That's post 9/11 stuff, isn't it? Is that the one where we distributed the grant funds, built the system by Motorola, then we get stuck with payments for the rest of our lives or something like that?
I'm going to have to refer to the chief. He's on his way up. We did discuss this, and he's here for this very purpose.
Good evening. Congratulations to you all. Yes, this is the service contract, Chris. It started back in 2005, where the town of Narragansett was selected to spearhead the 800 megahertz interoperability statewide communication system. Since then, that's our primary system as it is now, with the vast majority of police, fire, public works, EMS in the state of Rhode Island. Each community pays a portion of the maintenance and service contract to Motorola for the services that are provided, and that's portables and mobiles need to be repaired, the base stations need to be repaired, the sites around the state that we utilize, that's our portion of that. And then finance breaks down this $37,000 by subscriber unit, so each department within the town pays their portion. Mine's the largest, fire is the second largest, and so on.
I just remember being with this for years ago, and it grows a little bit, it seems like every year or so. I'm just wondering how much longer we're gonna own this service contract without being able to detach from it and look elsewhere, maybe.
Well, there is work being done through Rhode Island EMA, and Director McDonald, when she came on board under Governor Chafee, started to look in a different direction for the system. So there is some work being done to try to maybe not monopolize it through just Motorola, make it available through Johnson or some other service providers for radios and whatnot.
But, Dean, does it come back on 6/30/15 and it comes back to us again?
Yes.
So between now and then, we have that opportunity to maybe hear about some other opportunities, right?
No.
No?
Not until the state
Until
comes
state.
up with another service provider and they accept that service provider. Right now, Motorola is
the only
the show
one.
in town through Cyber Communications, which is the actual service provider. They do the work, the contract work for Motorola.
So you don't have a choice.
So as the equipment gets older, has this amount of, I guess, insurance going up considerably?
It's going up a little bit each year, whether it's inflation or whatever the case may be. Not so much tied into how old the equipment is. The equipment is actually maintained by the state. The base stations are maintained by the state. Our portables and mobiles, as they deteriorate, they're coming up on 10 years old now. There's no reason to think we're not going to get another 5 to 10 out of them. Then we will be responsible for purchasing new radio equipment, just to serve the subscriber end of it.
Do you remember what the price was the year before?
Yeah, it was about $2,000 less, if my memory serves me correct.
We used to make jokes back in, that we wish we had invested in Motorola stock back in 2005, because they have the whole thing.
Yeah, we passed almost $40 million through the town.
I remember.
For the project.
But so how long does this go on? Is it ad infinitum? I'm just curious, because this comes up every year. We say, oh yeah.
As long as we're part of the statewide system and have radios on the system, we will have a service maintenance contract.
Each town gets their, we're a middle-sized town, so that's about 39 cities and towns. They're raking in about $1.5 million a year.
Yeah, it's pretty
No, you don't have a
substantial.
choice.
So they fix glitches and they create new glitches to fix next year, and everybody's happy.
They add sites, they do infrastructure work.
Good question, I think. Chief, how do you like the system?
We love it.
Okay.
And it has really provided Rhode Island, being as small as we are, never before could we communicate between even sometimes neighboring departments. I listened to a bank robbery in Chase that was on one of the statewide frequencies today that took place, started in Seekonk and went into Pawtucket. So it provides public safety, in particular, a true statewide network.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dean. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Item number 14 is a motion to award the bid for the purchase and installation of fencing for parks and playgrounds to lowest bidder United Fence Company Incorporated in the amount of $11,700.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
Discussion.
I just had a question. Yeah, Steve, how much fence we talking about? How much lineal?
Yes, good evening again. Well, good question, because we actually, a couple of years ago, we actually started this project and took an inventory of we have a lot of fencing in town. Right. If you take a look at all of our parks, we took an inventory of all of the ball fields, all of the playgrounds, and we actually were helped during Hurricane Sandy because all of the major fencing that got destroyed from Hurricane Sandy were actually repaired by our interlocal trust. So some of the newer fencing you see that was replaced during Hurricane Sandy was paid by the interlocal trust. Right. So we split the remainder of the repairs that were really needed, the damaged fencing, into 4 capital projects. And so what you see before you tonight are for playgrounds only, which we think are a priority. So we went around this past summer and took a look at the playgrounds, which we thought were our #1 priority, because, and I'm telling you, the ones that we could not repair ourselves, we've been repairing fencing with our own maintenance crew, but these need to be repaired by a professional company, and I'm talking about rotted fencing, posts, some of this fencing is 20 years old, as I said in their staff report. So you'll see 4 different playgrounds listed here.
But you don't have any lineal footage? No.
Well, it is listed in the RFP. I mean, I can get into that. I can give that to you. I don't have it. I mean, I can give that to you in the proposal.
Okay. No, just shoot me an email. I'm just curious.
Sure, I can definitely do that.
Curious
to you
what fence is going
Yep.
for these days.
Yep.
You know?
It's very well detailed.
Okay. Thank you.
And Steve, that's Christofaro, it's all across town, George C., Sprague, and
70.
Leroy
Yes.
Thompson.
It's Christopher, George C., Leroy Thompson, and Sprague, and they're all the playgrounds.
Right. Yep.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 15, a motion to award the bid for water storage tanks interior inspection and cleaning to Underwater Solutions Incorporated in the amount of $11,896.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
Discussion.
We have a policy to inspect, or we're required by the state to inspect the interior of our water storage tanks every 5 years, clean and inspect. So we put out an RFP, and you got 2 bids on it. One's high, who we would order the bid for. And having been handled all the bids for most of the communities that I worked for in Massachusetts, I also would not accept, if you turn the page on the back of the blue sheet, number 2, that phrase about the contingency, that the pricing will be contingent on all work being completed on the same trip. If work cannot be performed to all site conditions, Liquivision will present a bill based on labor, time, and materials incurred. That's a phrase you really do not want to endorse. So I absolutely agree with the purchasing department, Susan Gallagher, and with Jeff, that we don't accept that, and that we do accept the bid at $11,896. I don't know if Jeff has anything farther that he wants to talk about. Nope.
Thank you, Pam. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 16, a motion to award the contract for architectural engineering services for the Earls Court Water Tower project to Architectura Incorporated in the amount of $12,000.
I'll move that motion.
Discussion.
Mrs. Latimer is not here tonight, nor is our planning director, Michael DeLuca, who is handling this for her. I do know for a fact that she wants to begin the architectural engineering services and that she does have this amount of money. She has 13,000 something in this account, so she has got the money to cover this for the Earls Court project to get the engineering done.
So the fundraising money that she fundraised went into a special account
Yes.
under the town, so we have an account number associated
Yes,
with that
It is
and the
monitored by the
fundraising money.
finance director, yes. We know where every cent is.
Great.
And Sally's very meticulous about this. Mrs. Latimer is very meticulous. It is.
Further discussion? Stan? I thought I preempted your question.
I'm so, yeah, I know.
I really thought that
I'm
special.
so happy to hear that this is all voluntary funds. I love the project and all. I'm hoping that when they run out of funds, though, they don't come back to us now. They continue to volunteer and give these rich people some plaques so they can donate the millions that might be needed for it, okay? So let's just continue the volunteer effort. I love it. Thank you.
So do we. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 17, a motion to introduce, read, pass, and accept as a first reading a resolution amending the official list of parking restrictions and regulations in the town of Narragansett in accordance with the Narragansett Code of Ordinances.
I'll move that motion.
Discussion.
So I always get nervous about the parking restrictions. Can we just review this?
So do you want to withdraw the motion in second and do a continuance?
Yeah, I mean, unless somebody wants to explain this, is Dean still here? Or Pam, do you want to talk about any of these? There are a lot of restrictions on a lot of the streets, and I just wanted to kind of...
Mr. DeChico has the most intimate knowledge of it. It's something that was requested of us. I know about, in front of the Bay campus, it was requested by the Bay campus. Is that correct?
Yeah, a portion of South Ferry Road between Pear Road and Aquarium was requested by the Bay campus to have no parking due to driveways and entrances to the Bay campus area. And the reason for it's a narrow strip. It's on the steep hill portion there of South Ferry Road, and so it's a good idea, even town-wise, for there to be no parking on that section. And the other part to it was the 108 parking restriction. What it's essentially stating is that there'll still be no parking north of Sand Hill Cove Road at the traffic light there, but south of Sand Hill Cove Road to Ocean Road would still be parking within the breakdown lane area.
So, but some of these restrictions, is Palm Beach Avenue on here? So I'm confused.
Yeah, I think Ann only included, we have a master list of all the parking restrictions in town. It's alphabetical, and it tells you what chapter or what resolution adopted those restrictions. If you look at this list here, I think Ann asterisk Point Judith Road to show you that's the one that they're going to be amending, and likewise South Ferry on the prior page. So if you were to pass this resolution, you're only impacting South Ferry Road and Point Judith Road, and it would only be with the restrictions or the changes that are listed in the resolution. So South Ferry would be no parking northerly side, entire length, no parking southerly side from Pier Road to Aquarium Road. And then likewise, Point Judith, there's no parking restriction from Sand Hill Cove to the north, and parking will be restricted within 20 feet on either side, the side streets between Sand Hill Cove and Ocean Road in accordance with state law. So it's just those two you're dealing with. Probably, you got an excerpt from the whole book just to show where they fall in it.
Good job.
Who usually parks on South Ferry?
To tell you the truth, I'm not sure. It was a request from the security at
Yeah.
Southbury. So I think it's people that are just running into the college, into the Bay Campus office areas, or
people at the beach,
some of
no?
it could be beach parking for the small beach down at the end there. So I think they're just trying to alleviate that parking issue on the hillside there.
Is this a year-round restriction down there, or is this a seasonal like we do with the pier?
The only restriction is between Pier and Aquarium, where the buildings are. From Aquarium down to the beach on the south side is still parking as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had a question too. So they contacted you to put these restrictions on, yes?
Yes.
I guess the only concern I've had, I just thinking out loud here about the parking restrictions, how they might maybe deter people from using that beach in the summertime.
The lower half where there's parking currently for the beach is still going to be accessible to parking.
So they can park right up the hill there,
Yes.
okay.
Do you know how many spaces are being eliminated by this action that we're taking?
Not rough.
No. Well, why don't we just continue it
Yeah,
until we find
or
that
table
answer?
it. I'm not that
Is
familiar
that
with
okay with
it.
you, Chris? 'Cause
Fine
I
with
go
me.
down there myself,
Yeah.
and I know that sometimes
so-
I park on there.
Chris, you withdraw the second, you withdraw the motion. You want to make a new motion, Susan?
Well, I think
Make a
we
motion
could
to
just
continue
table, I think we
Table.
should just table it.
And a second on that?
Well, if you table it, you have to table it till the end of the meeting, or at the end of the meeting, so we have to
Why don't
continue
we
it to a date certain.
continue it to?
No, a table is that it's on the table, and continuance goes to a date certain. So the tabling goes on the shelf. So is there a second for Susan's motion to table?
Oh,
I'll second.
also, yeah.
Okay, discussion.
Well, I think we don't know enough about it. I mean, I just hate to put restrictions on something that I'm not that familiar with, so I would like to maybe kind of go down there a little bit myself and see what the need for the restrictions on that particular
Yeah,
South Ferry.
Could you just find out how many parking spaces
Yeah,
it would?
where they're requesting the parking restrictions, you're talking about a 2-lane road with lane widths of only like 10 to 12 feet.
Yeah.
If you park, you're parking in a travel lane, so, by all means, if you think you need to go look, take a look, and you'll understand why.
Yeah, I would definitely like to do that.
So if you guys want to continue it, fine with me.
All right, so we have a motion on the table to table it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Thank you, Mike. Number 18, a motion to schedule a work session with the Narragansett School Committee to discuss revenue forecasts and budget strategies for fiscal year 2015 and 16.
I'll move that motion.
Second.
We are looking at possible dates in this discussion. This is by law. We have to have this meeting with the school committee early on. It's really just a kind of table setter for the rest of the budget season. Do you have a suggested date, Ann and Pam?
The blue worksheet says in the first paragraph under recommendation.
December 1.
December 15th, 2014.
Or December 15th.
What was that date?
That
December 1st?
No, I think it's December 15th. I don't know.
December 15th?
It is.
So will we do that before?
Yeah. Like 6:30 before the meeting? 6.
6, okay. So motion to schedule that work session at 6 o'clock on December 15th. Is that correct? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, 5-0. 5-0, excuse me. Number 19 is a motion to schedule a work session with the town manager and staff.
I'll
Yes,
move that
this is
motion.
so- This is.
Wait. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so Pam, this is your briefing for us. Do you want to give us a little detail?
The staff, the senior management team, department heads would like to request it, actually, that they get a chance to address the new council. And in your packet that you received last week, the package we put together for you, they outlined some of their issues, their mission, their goals. I told them, you have 5 minutes, 5 minutes. But we have enough department heads that that's nearly 60 minutes. So you have 5 minutes, and I directed it exclusively to a couple of people and said, you got 5 minutes, and that's it. So we're going to talk to you and answer any questions you might have about individual departments. We have to understand that the budget is coming up very quickly, and in fact, the capital budget worksheets went out this week, so we will be getting our budget worksheets in December. Is that correct, Mrs. Kenyon? Budget worksheets for the annual budget in December? January. So it's coming right up at us, so we wanted a chance. We're going to have a tough budget this year. I told the department heads, this is your chance. You can say what you need, really critically need, since our capital budget has been pretty narrow last year, and we had expected to be again this year. So with your permission, we'll schedule it for December 1st, and we'll have an hour with the senior management team.
6:30?
What time, so this will be before the meeting, so what time are you looking at? Is this a 6?
Yes, 6 o'clock.
Is 6:30 that
Yeah,
work for you?
no, that's fine, that's fine.
Because that could be like a little bit, I mean, I remember that briefing we had 2 years ago was pretty lengthy.
I wasn't here.
You know, I know that it was long.
I've been
so
here,
that's
and
my
I told
only-
them 5 minutes.
And there's, I mean, if it has to be continued,
No.
we, yeah.
We're
okay.
staying at 5 minutes.
All right.
Okay.
If we're late here, everybody, please be understanding. So we're going to schedule that for 6 o'clock on December
1st.
6 o'clock,
Yes,
December
please.
1st. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Okay, and finally, number 20, a motion to schedule a work session to conduct interviews for a planning board appointment. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Discussion, point of discussion.
We want a second, though.
I
Second?
second.
He
Second,
did, he
okay,
did.
go ahead.
So it looks like, and Mark, I'm going to defer to you to open up the discussion on this. We had changed the boards and commissions language and said, when there's a reappointment, not a new appointment, a reappointment of an existing member, then we wouldn't have to interview. If we're going to change that, I want to talk about that, because I know that we ran into that several years ago about if they're on and their term comes up, do they automatically get reappointed? And we had talked about that, so.
No, you're right, because I just looked at this as it came up and said, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I remember Jim Manning was reappointed zoning board last meeting or two. So, and just acknowledge it should not be on the agenda.
Yeah,
If you're going to reappoint Vinnie, that's fine. If you don't reappoint him, then it opens it up for interviews. It's a new vacancy at that point in time under the way the rules are.
Can we interview, because it's on there, right? So Ann had put it on there, so there's interviews every 5, these people have 5-year terms. So I didn't know, with 3 new council members, right, there's 2 ways you can go. If there's an open seat, then we have the interviews. If it's an existing person who wants to be reappointed, you can have the interviews or maybe just let them go through. But with the 3 new members, I didn't know if this was on, if you wanted to do that or not. I don't know what the thoughts were. I know there's applications on file for
I
this.
just wanted to clear up the language, because
The way the rule reads, if I could have it backhand, but the way the
Yeah,
rule
read
reads
it.
right now is that if it's a new vacancy, you're required to interview zoning and planning. That's what your rule says. If it's not a new vacancy, it's not a reappointment, you're not required to interview those applicants. It's totally up to you.
It's
You can
discretion.
It's discretionary. So the only thing is you don't need to interview because it's a re-up or a reappointment, but you make the decision as to how you want to handle it.
Yeah, I was just curious about the
I'm familiar with
language.
the person, so I'm fine reappointing, but if the other members feel that they need to go through this process, I would be amiable.
Then we have to look at the language if we're going to change it, because
Well, we
that's-
have discretion on the language. So the thing is, there's 3, right? So there's, we have discretion to do it. And it's come up, and I think, Renee, I mean, I'm familiar too with the individual. So I think we have 3 boards in town that are independent decision-making boards. We have our pension board, zoning, and planning board. a lot of people in town, those need to know, those are independent boards. So we appoint those people, but then they make decisions, and those can get appealed onto the Superior Court, and we never weigh in. And a lot of people, so these are important positions. So I did want to see what the three of you thought on the policy, not on the individual, what the three of you thought policy-wise.
Okay.
And then you also could change that language as well. That would be another option, so it's not discretionary. So just wanted to see what the,
Let me just say one other thing too, because over the 4 years, we added the interviewing, and I remember when that was an initiative of mine, and it got a little, but I think it's good that we do that, and I think it's important, and it does open up the process. But when we looked at the boards and commissions language, we clearly went back to make sure that we were in agreement with if it was a new vacancy. And so I'm in favor of keeping the language the same, because we've kind of worked that way. I know the applicant too, but I just feel like we've been going that way. We have the interviews, we didn't have them before, so I feel good about that. And if it's a new person, I know the work that's being done by some of the existing people, so I'm good with the way it is.
Well, typically in years past, this is a routine reappointment. He's expressed interest in keeping, being reappointed again. And normally it's a pretty typical thing to reappoint unless there's an issue of attendance, never being there, or somebody's really off the reservation, and then we might want to reconsider, the appointment of that. I don't see anything here. I just see this as a routine reappointment that comes up, and just what I would suggest we just withdraw the motion, just let it die.
I agree.
Is that
I mean,
so
let's see.
could he do
I would
that,
issue
and then
that.
you second it? You withdraw it and you second it.
There you go.
You'll have a reappointment on for Mr. Ndegler.
Any further discussion, Stan?
Just one thing, Mark, the planning board doesn't have any alternates. Is that a state law, or is that a state policy, or a state regulation? Because I would love to get a couple of.
We looked at this a little while ago, Chris,
Yeah.
and I think the answer was we would have to submit a request to our legislative delegation to get a special act to add alternates. We should do that now.
We should do that.
Let me double check that that's the answer. I think that's correct. We can't just do it ourselves, so if we can do it with the legislation, then we should do so this year to add some alternates, if you're so inclined.
That's a real good, I'll put that on the agenda,
I'll
because
second
we
that.
find what happens is, especially when the planning board's in session, they have a tough or controversial issue before them. They like a full quorum there, and sometimes only four
Yeah.
people. I know that the chairman, he won't call for a vote unless there's, five
Yeah.
people.
I agree, Chris.
So
I think it's a good
think
point.
We should always have two, one in the waiting wings, somebody learning and getting ready for an appointment once these things expire. So,
So, because we have alternates on the zoning.
but not, planning doesn't
Yeah,
allow it.
okay.
Can you actually make a motion now? And
Not tonight.
Not tonight?
Yeah.
Stanley's waiting.
We can
Yes,
put something
Dan.
on together next thing.
Fine.
Vice versa. I just have 2 points that term limits. I don't know, should we have the same people there for 10, 15, 20 years?
They're now term limited to two. This
So
will
you
be
have-
actually his first term under the new,
Okay, so there is a term limit of 2 times on it.
so Mr. Ndegg would be appointed, I assume,
This is
for
not
4 years.
specific to him, because I haven't been to the meeting, so I really don't know what's going on with it. I was just concerned about, that brings up an issue of, if there are, I didn't know there was other people signed up. If there are other people signed up who have advanced degrees, unbelievable, in planning or zoning somewhere, or advanced experience, and they're out there, it'd be nice for us to kind of include them on there, that's why I'd like to evaluate, not that I want to kick the existing guys out, but if we have somebody on a waiting list that's a superstar for some reason, stands out, it'd be nice for you to be interviewing and checking that, so we get the best possible educated and knowledgeable and experienced persons on there, so our town is.
Stanley, there is a nice applicant waiting too on the planning board, I know. So there are people waiting too.
So there are people waiting, so they.
And vacancies do occur from time to time. People step down, people move, people just don't want to be reappointed. And so
Hopefully-
their times do come.
But
It's just
hopefully-
that you don't want to discourage people by not reappointing them after 4 years of service. Usually they're just getting good after 4 years.
Well, hopefully,
what's going on, okay.
hopefully the the alternate will move forward quickly, and we can
So the
get some of those
alternates come
people
in,
on as
They got
alternates.
the experience now, they're up
Yeah.
to speed. Yeah, thank you.
Sue?
I think for an independent board where the members each serve for 5 years, I think you're crazy if you're just going to be okay with a policy that shoos them back in. This is your opportunity. I mean, in this instance, for this individual, you might be very happy with their performance and yay, rah, rah. But I think it's an opportunity to reassess the performance and the individual and the fit and what's currently happening. And you've got 3 new people on the council. I think, you know, it's too much of the just go ahead with the status quo if you don't interview somebody when this occurs. I mean, essentially you're giving them a 10-year appointment if you do that. I just think it's wrong. I think that it needs to be re-examined. This is a very important position on an independent board, and I think it needs to be re-examined every time there's an opening. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Any discussion? So where are we, Ann, on this? What was the latest?
No, well, Chris.
Well, we
put
had a
something out,
motion.
Took it off the table. and
Who
you
moved the
seconded.
original motion?
It was withdrawn.
And then
And there was a
Ray
second to that?
seconded.
Okay.
So we have to call it to a vote.
So it's a motion to withdraw. We're moving to withdraw.
No action. You withdrew it, you don't have to
Well,
have
no,
an
I mean,
action.
because I tend to agree with Sue, actually. I think, I'm kind of surprised that our 3 new members don't want to, I'm a little bit surprised.
You can take-
No, it's not.
So
Take a vote on
you know,
it.
because it's not about the person, this is always what happens in the town, right? We say there's a person who's nice in the position, and I agree with you, but I think, and again, this item would have been on. It was accidentally put on, and so it could have easily just been withdrawn behind the scenes, but the reason I kept it on is we had 3 new members. So I strongly agree, so I do think we would vote on a motion to withdraw that's seconded, and then we would decide what we want to do. So I think, I agree with what Sue had to say there pretty strongly. We have 3 independent boards, and we tend to rubber stamp things in terms of reappointments.
I don't feel that I'm rubber stamping because I know the person and I know a little bit about what's going on. So that wasn't my point. But I like Chris's addition through this conversation of trying to get alternates, because that's where we're going to get the quality that Sue's looking for.
The only problem with that is that the comp plan right now, the discussion is to maybe not have the planning board weigh in on as many topics. And the discussion, Sue may remember, is going that way, at least at some of those meetings, so that then, you know, would you really want to put alternates on the planning board if you're going to be giving them fewer powers, but under the comp plan. But that's
Well, we have to.
There's a lot of discussion.
So can I just add to this? We have started interviewing over the last 6 years. We've committed to only 2 terms, so we've done some things to make it fair and equitable. If you go to the boards, I mean, it's not about the person, we're not talking about that, but the process has certainly come full, or pretty close to full circle. So volunteer positions, they're important appointments, and I'm satisfied with a 10-year volunteer that's contributing, that has the experience, that has the knowledge to serve on that. So I have seen the capacity built over 5 years for the people. I think if we were talking about 20-year terms and we were talking about, you know, not changing it up and they were just standingly reappointing, I think we'd have a problem. But I feel like we have, over the last 6 years, put in mechanisms which have made it fair and open to the public. So I'm satisfied with drawing it and going with the 2 cycles that we have presently.
Are they 4-year terms or 5-year terms?
5.
Oh, they're 5.
Karen.
My concern is that you're all elected officials, and the people on some of these boards are appointed. And you're the ones that were elected by the people, and it should be the town council's mission, or what you would like to see being done, and the planning board and the zoning board, I don't know if subservient is the correct word, but they should be there to support the mission and the plan of the town, sort of not working somewhat independently and creating another, I don't know, genre, whatever, just another movement that can be like a satellite that's, you should be the primary decision makers because you're the elected, not the appointed. That's just the way I see it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Any other thoughts?
Well, maybe we can take Chris's suggestion and table it and check this guy's attendance.
No, well, he wants to withdraw the motion.
Right.
Well, you folks can, I'm sorry. You can do what you want.
So the
but
motion
I
right
don't
now
know-
is to withdraw the scheduling, so we basically wouldn't
have a
schedule
first and a
the
second.
next meeting, we have it, so the discussion is, do you want to do that? And if the practical effect of that would then be this person would be up for appointment December 1st.
Right.
Or we would schedule interviews if you rejected the withdrawal.
Well, I know who the guy is. I don't know what his activity on the board, so, I'm kind of in the dark on this. So, I mean, it just,
We do.
He was appointed 5 years ago to his first term. He's up for his first reappointment right now. I remember distinctly because, quite frankly, I voted for somebody else during that session. I voted for a fellow named Chuck Carberry, who was eventually appointed to the Historical District Commission. He was a landscape architect, and that's the kind of person I wanted on there. He didn't get that. This person here has been there for 5 years. And I just think that if you take a person out of 5 years who's been attending regularly, who's been participating and doing their homework, I might not agree with every decision he makes, but I don't like kicking people off of boards without the chance to re-up themselves. I mean, 5 years on the planning board, I know it sounds like a long time, but you're really hitting your stride in 5 years.
Yeah.
And there are several people waiting in the wings, and a couple of them I know well. I think they'd be excellent candidates, but now is just not the time. I do think, Ray and I will pursue that legislation to enable us to get some alternates. I would like 2 alternates on there who could attend on a regular basis, so they will be ready for the next opening.
There you go.
But everything's in its time and its space for everything. I think.
I respect Sue's opinion, but I mean, I think I would have to go along with Chris's motion at this point.
It's just too discouraging to replace people like that, unless there's really a reason.
We're asking to interview them. It's an interview. We're not saying, right, so everyone gets caught up in the individual. Again, I think people at home need to realize, everybody, this is how, so I'm concerned about that. I get it. I think, yes, it's not about the individual, which it's a policy of, do you want to simply say, we're not even going to interview? And then when you do, then in the situations when you do, then it looks like you're against the person. If you have a policy that you interview them, they just have to say, as the incumbent in that position, they are going to say, these are the things that I've done, and this is my role. So I think, I don't mean to.
Yeah, no, I'm not mixing up the person. I reviewed the policy, what we talked about, where we've gone with it, and although I think the candidate is a great, contributor to the board, I'm looking at what we've done over time. We put the interviews in. We've decided that they can't go more than 2 cycles. To Chris's point, they begin to get an expertise and add value to the board. So I think, it sounds like a long time, but it is a volunteer board. So I think we've kind of debated. I think we should just vote on it.
All right, so we're voting on the motion to withdraw. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. Motion passed, approved, 4-1. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nice job, Mr. President.
Oh, thank you. Good night, everyone.
For your